Hello.
Yeah.
Title of the post is Improving Preoperative Pathways for Undiagnosed Obstructive Sleep Apnea. Please, can you start when you're ready? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Rory. I'm a junior clinical fellow working in respiratory medicine, and the basis of our project was that obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, is a clinically significant diagnosis, and we know that in surgical patients it can increase the rate of perioperative complications, and this rate can be increased further if that OSA is undiagnosed and therefore untreated and not known about by the anaesthetic team. So we introduced a novel pathway at a large London pre-assessment clinic, which aimed to increase the rate of diagnosis of OSA and therefore to optimally manage these patients preoperatively. Initial audit data in a select group of patients undergoing major gynecological surgery showed that only 14% were initially being managed as per this pathway and being appropriately screened. So far, we've undertaken 3 key PDSA cycles. The first of these was to introduce a new, quicker way of doing sleep studies called a watch-pat sleep study, which would aim to diagnose people more quickly and more easily. The second of these was doing teaching sessions with the nursing staff at this pre-assessment clinic on the importance of diagnosing sleep apnea and sort of how to do this appropriately. And then our third cycle was the introduction of a key contact at the pre-assessment clinic, or a nursing champion, and to use them as a key contact to iron through any issues that we encountered. Could I have the next slide, please? So our initial results have been fairly promising. We've managed to increase numbers of people diagnosed and referred to the sleep clinic quite significantly. The number referred in 2021 was only 4 patients, and that increased to 27 in 2022. And after our third PDSA cycle, so in November 2022, we managed to achieve management as per our pathway in 40% of patients, which was nearly a double in optimal management there. And based on our findings and the timing of the changes we made, the key PDSA cycle seems to have been the introduction of a nursing champion, and that's the one that seemed to make the biggest difference. In terms of our future plans to try and maintain and improve on what we've done already, we will try and do some further teaching sessions with those working at the pre-assessment clinic, try and get more funding for more of the watch-pat sleep studies. And the key thing that we want to do is to try and change the pro forma at the pre-assessment clinic so that there is a mandatory field for screening for OSA in obese patients. And then going forward, we will look at what patients were started on CPAP therapy, compliance with this, and whether this made any difference in the perioperative period.
I'm so sorry, that's time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Sounds like a very worthwhile project, and I like the use of so many different QI tools that you can see on your poster as well. So one of the things that really stood out is that third point on that slide around nursing champions was one of the most effective things that seems to have kind of made a difference. I couldn't really see on your poster, it might be on there, but it's very small. Has that been annotated on your charts? Have you shown that a big...
so yes, sorry, it's not as clear. So in terms of the run chart with percentage of patients managed optimally, the 2 circled in green in the bottom left, the first green is the introduction of the nursing champion, where you can see the increase there, and then the second green circle then on that is when we did a second ramp of that PDSA cycle, where in both those months there's been a big increase. Granted, it's sort of fallen off a little bit in the meantime and some of the months in between, but does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's what I was kind of wondering. And obviously it's early stages still, but I'm sure you'll get a significant shift from your current average once you've got more data points. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's trying to sustain that is the difficult thing really for us at the minute.
Yeah. So the other question, sorry, how much time do we have left? I wasn't watching the...
There's 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, brilliant. So my other question is, it sounds like you've kind of done a bit of a literature review and seen what other places do and stuff as well. So is there anywhere that's done anything similar that you kind of in touch with or learning from?
So a lot of this project, in terms of the literature review, was done prior to my involvement by a colleague who is now an anaesthetic trainee, and he has published a short article looking at previous evidence and in introduction of this. And our goal, because there isn't a huge amount of evidence really at the minute, you know, in terms of outcomes, would be, once we get larger data set, to try and set up a lot of these patients on CPAP therapy preoperatively, and then look at the outcomes between those that were able to be diagnosed and set up versus those that weren't necessarily managed optimally. So that would be the ultimate goal from this, but obviously will be sort of quite a large undertaking.
Brilliant. I'll put something in the chat as well if you're wanting to publish more stuff. If you're a Q member, I don't know if you are, there's support for that as well, so I'll pop it in the chat. But that's really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.